What if the biggest story in women's basketball isn't happening on the court, but behind closed doors? Rumors are swirling that some WNBA players are furious over Caitlin Clark's rise, and whispers of a possible strike have fans stunned. But is this really about one rookie or something much deeper brewing inside the league? The moment Caitlin Clark stepped onto the professional stage, the WNBA changed overnight. She didn't just enter the league quietly or gradually climb the ranks. She exploded into the national spotlight, carrying with her the kind of attention most players spend years chasing. College records shattered, viral highlights flooding social media, and suddenly every TV network and sports journalist wanted a piece of her story. For a league that had long struggled for mainstream recognition, Clark became both a golden opportunity and a lightning rod. Arena seats that used to sit half-empty were now selling out weeks in advance. Merchandise featuring her name and number flew off shelves. Ratings on games she played were skyrocketing, and social media conversations dominated timelines from coast to coast. Fans who had barely followed the WNBA were suddenly tuning in, sharing clips, and debating her every play. Clark's arrival was not just an addition to the league, it was a seismic shift, a new narrative that promised more visibility, more money, and more influence than the league had ever seen before. But while the spotlight illuminated Clark, it also cast long shadows elsewhere. Veteran players who had spent years grinding in relative obscurity began to notice subtle shifts in treatment, recognition, and fan attention. Their decades of sacrifice, long flights, late nights, endless training, and playing through injuries had helped build the foundation of the league, yet suddenly the headlines, the sponsorship deals, and the viral clips focused on someone who hadn't even logged a full professional season. There were no public complaints at first, just quiet murmurs in locker rooms and private chats, hints that some felt the balance was tipping too far, too fast. This wasn't just about jealousy. It was about culture, legacy, and respect. Players who had fought for years to elevate the league noticed that Clark's every move seemed amplified while their own accomplishments, hard work, and leadership faded into the background. Some veterans worried that the WNBA was morphing into a Caitlin Clark show, with the league's identity and long-term growth being rewritten around one person's rise. Others embraced the change, seeing it as a necessary evolution to bring new fans and revenue to a sport they loved. The impact wasn't just visible in the stands or on social media, it was on the court too. Games began to feel different, with heightened expectations whenever Clark played. Opponents watched closely, defenses shifted, and even teammates sensed the intensity surrounding every possession. Clark didn't just change the WNBA's popularity, she changed its rhythm, its energy, and the pressure dynamics for everyone involved. In short, Caitlin Clark's arrival didn't just make headlines, it redefined what the league looked like, who it served, and how every player measured themselves against the new standard of attention, money, and expectation. And while fans celebrated the meteoric rise of a new star, a quiet storm was brewing among those who had built the league long before her name ever appeared on a jersey. When Caitlin Clark entered the WNBA, she didn't just bring talent, she brought money, attention, and sponsorships on a scale the league hadn't seen before. Reports claim she signed a massive deal with Nike, with figures that rival contracts of seasoned champions who had spent years climbing the ranks. The optics were impossible to ignore. A rookie walking into a league, and suddenly she had her own shoe, media deals, and promotional campaigns lined up before even playing a single professional minute. For longtime players, this wasn't just surprising, it was jarring. Veterans like Aja Wilson, Breena Stewart, and Diana Taurasi had spent years proving themselves on and off the court, building the reputation of the WNBA brick by brick. They fought for recognition, media attention, and fair deals, often traveling overseas during the off-season just to make ends meet. Yet here was a 22-year-old rookie who seemed to have instant access to the spotlight, the marketing machine, and financial backing that had taken others years, if not decades, to achieve. Fans erupted online. Some celebrated it as a triumph for the sport, a new star who could bring eyes, revenue, and relevance to women's basketball. Others, however, started asking difficult questions. Is this about merit or hype? Is the league now prioritizing one player's fame over the collective effort of those who made it possible? The debate spilled across social media, podcasts, and sports forums, with whispers that locker rooms were buzzing with private frustration. Some veterans reportedly felt that the WNBA had become less of a meritocracy and more of a marketing experiment, engineered to maximize attention around a single name. The financial disparity didn't stop at Clark's contracts. The media spotlight followed her everywhere. From press conferences to social media mentions, Clark dominated headlines. While this was good for the league's overall visibility, some players felt invisible in comparison. They argued that decades of hard work, championship titles, and personal sacrifices were being overshadowed by a rookie who had yet to prove herself in professional play. Rumors suggest that this perceived imbalance fueled locker room tension, with some players questioning whether the league truly valued their contributions or just the revenue and hype generated by Clark. And while Clark's presence undeniably benefits the league in terms of revenue and fan engagement, the situation raises a deeper question. When a single player becomes the face of the WNBA's financial and media growth, what happens to the players who built the foundation? Leaked discussions and insider chatter suggest that these frustrations are simmering just beneath the surface, creating a complex mix of admiration, envy, and resentment. In short, Clark's arrival didn't just disrupt games, it disrupted the economics, the media narrative, and the culture of the league. The money, the sponsorships, and the marketing spotlight became lightning rods, highlighting the tension between a rising superstar and the veterans who had fought for the league long before her name appeared on anyone's radar. And it's that tension, the collision of fame, finance, and legacy, that insiders say could spark a controversy far bigger than any on-court play. It started with a moment that went viral almost instantly, the Kennedy Carter hip check against Caitlin Clark. On the surface, it looked like just another hard foul in professional basketball, but in a league already buzzing with tension, the incident became a lightning rod for debate. Clips circulated across social media, screenshots of reactions flooded Twitter, and fans began arguing over whether this was intense defense or targeted aggression. The video was shared thousands of times within hours, and suddenly the conversation wasn't about the game. It was about Clark, Carter, and what some insiders say is a simmering feud in the WNBA locker rooms. Leaked rumors suggest that this was far from an isolated incident. Veterans allegedly believe that rookies, especially those receiving massive attention, sometimes need to be tested both physically and mentally. According to whispers in private forums, these plays aren't just about competition, they're a message. Hard fouls, aggressive defense, and physical pressure are, in the eyes of some, tools to assert that respect in the league is earned, not handed out for hype or media attention. While the mainstream media portrayed it as a shocking moment, insiders claim the strategy has been quietly discussed among certain veteran groups for months. Fans were split almost immediately. Some defended the veterans, saying that physical play is part of elite basketball and that rookies need to learn quickly. Others accused Carter and others of crossing a line, framing the incident as bullying or hazing. Social media intensified the scrutiny, with thousands of Clark fans flooding comments, creating a volatile environment for both rookies and established players. Leaked chat discussions suggest that some players began to feel that the league's focus on Clark made them targets for disproportionate attention, and even normal physical plays could be twisted into headlines or viral moments. The incident also drew attention from sports analysts and commentators. On-air personalities dissected every angle, debating whether the WNBA was protecting rookies too much or too little. Some argued that the controversy had been manufactured by fans seeking drama, while others suggested that it reflected deeper structural tensions inside the league, a clash between long-standing veterans and a new, media-driven superstar era. For the players involved, the stakes were higher than just a foul. According to rumors, the fallout contributed to a growing sense that the league was no longer just about basketball. It was about control, influence, and navigating a media storm. The incident exposed how rapidly the dynamics had shifted. A single play could now spark viral debate, fan outrage, and locker room tension all at once. In short, the Kennedy Carter moment was more than a hip check, it was a flashpoint. It highlighted the collision of athletic intensity, fan obsession, and media narratives, revealing the pressure cooker environment Clark entered and the underlying resentment some veterans reportedly feel. And while it was just one play, insiders claim it may have been the spark that ignited locker room whispers into the rumors of a strike, showing how every movement on the court now carries consequences far beyond the game itself. When Caitlin Clark exploded onto the WNBA scene, it wasn't just the league that felt the impact, the fans did too. Overnight, a new wave of supporters flooded arenas, social media feeds, and comment sections, creating a fan base so vocal and protective that some insiders describe it as a Caitlin Clark cult. These fans celebrated her every shot, shared highlights relentlessly, and pushed narratives painting her as the savior of women's basketball. On the surface, this seems positive for the league: more attention, more ticket sales, and more revenue. But behind the screens, the fan frenzy is reportedly creating a tense, hostile environment for other players. Leaked chats and rumors from within the league suggest that veterans feel under siege. Every defensive play against Clark is now magnified, with online fans ready to react instantly. A minor foul, a contested shot, or even a defensive misstep can trigger thousands of aggressive comments, personal attacks, and social media storms directed not at Clark, but at the players who challenge her. Some insiders say that this constant online scrutiny has created a us versus them mentality, where veterans feel they are defending their reputations against a fan base that doesn't just cheer, they police, critique, and at times harass. The online backlash isn't limited to one platform. Across Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and fan forums, discussions have escalated into full-blown arguments. Some fans praise Clark as a revolutionary force, claiming she's bringing the WNBA the recognition it's always deserved. Others accuse veteran players of jealousy, trying to undermine her rise. The tension extends beyond simple debates. Leaked audio suggests that players are discussing whether this fan obsession actually threatens player safety and mental health. The social media pressure, combined with constant media coverage, is reportedly amplifying the already simmering locker room resentment. Comment sections under WNBA highlights now read like battlefields. Fans defending Clark argue aggressively with those supporting veterans, often referencing deals, media appearances, and highlights. Some claim that veterans are resisting progress, while others insist that Clark's rise is overshadowing years of dedication by players who literally built the league. Every post, every clip, and every viral moment becomes fuel for this ongoing conflict. The result: a digital environment where tension leaks from online platforms into actual locker room dynamics. Reports claim that the players aren't just passive observers, they are actively discussing strategies to manage the fallout. Leaked rumors suggest conversations about how to handle fan attacks, how to protect each other, and even how to signal dissatisfaction with league decisions without being misrepresented in the media. The fan war has reportedly become a factor in on-court dynamics as well, influencing how veterans approach games when Clark is involved. It's no longer just basketball, it's a high-stakes psychological and social chess match, with players, fans, and media all influencing one another in real time. In short, the fan war and online backlash have created a perfect storm. While Clark's rise benefits the WNBA commercially, the fan obsession and polarized reactions are putting veterans under a microscope. Every move, every play, every tweet has the potential to escalate tensions, intensifying the divide between rookies, veterans, and supporters. According to insiders, this digital battleground has become a key factor in the rumored locker room unrest, and may even play a role in whispers of a strike. What started as excitement over a rising star has evolved into a complex, volatile mix of admiration, envy, and conflict, with the online world amplifying every fissure in the league. One of the most simmering issues behind the locker room tension is travel and treatment, and according to insiders, Caitlin Clark's arrival has brought these long-standing frustrations into the spotlight. For decades, veteran WNBA players endured grueling schedules, long bus rides, cramped economy flights, late-night arrivals, and back-to-back games that left bodies aching and minds exhausted. Champions like Diana Taurasi, Aja Wilson, and Breena Stewart often spent off-seasons overseas in Turkey, Russia, or China just to supplement their income, all while sacrificing time with family and personal recovery. They fought for years to improve conditions, to be respected as professional athletes, and to receive treatment that reflected their dedication. Then Clark entered the league, and suddenly some things changed, at least on paper. Reports claim that because of her massive popularity and the security risks associated with her fame, the league rolled out charter flights for her team. While this was presented as a safety measure benefiting all players, leaked chatter suggests that some veterans saw it differently, a glaring example of preferential treatment. Players who had endured decades of travel hardships allegedly felt invisible, as if their health, safety, and comfort were secondary considerations until a white rookie arrived. Private discussions reportedly framed this as more than jealousy. It was about fairness, respect, and recognition for the sacrifices that actually built the league. It wasn't just flights. Locker room accommodations, security, and even access to facilities became flashpoints. Leaked audio implies that some veterans believe the league's sudden flexibility and investment sends the message that their efforts were never enough, that the WNBA was willing to invest in comfort and safety only when it served a media narrative. One source allegedly described the feeling as being pushed to the side in your own house, a sentiment echoed across multiple private forums and group chats. These frustrations, insiders say, are not new, but Clark's spotlight amplified them, turning years of quiet dissatisfaction into a shared grievance. The ripple effects extend beyond comfort and logistics. Leaked rumors suggest that veteran players are questioning the league's priorities. If safety, pay, and support are so easily expanded for one rising star, why were these issues ignored for decades for the players who carried the WNBA on their backs? The situation reportedly fueled conversations about fairness and control, with some players allegedly weighing drastic measures including walkouts or selective boycotts to signal their discontent. These measures aren't just about Clark personally, they're about forcing the league to recognize that the foundation of the WNBA is its veterans, not just its breakout stars. Fans rarely see this side of professional sports, the unglamorous, unseen labor that keeps leagues running. But insiders claim that tensions over travel, accommodations, and treatment have become a key factor in the rumored unrest. Every charter flight, every media priority, and every special security protocol is interpreted not just as a perk for Clark, but as a reflection of what the league values and who it chooses to elevate. It's a story of economics, logistics, and respect colliding in a high-pressure environment where every decision has consequences on the court and off. In short, the travel and treatment controversy is about more than planes or hotel rooms. It's about equity, recognition, and the lingering question of who the league truly serves. Clark's presence amplified an existing fault line, revealing the gap between rookie hype and veteran hardship. According to insiders, this is one of the sparks behind the locker room unrest. A reminder that in professional sports, fairness isn't just a policy, it's a lifeline for players who demand to be treated with the respect they've earned. The Paris Olympic roster announcement sent shockwaves through the basketball world, and according to insiders, it did more than just disappoint fans. Caitlin Clark, the rookie sensation capturing headlines and sponsorships, was left off Team USA's squad. On paper, it seemed like a standard selection process, a decision based on experience, team chemistry, and coaching strategy. But behind the scenes, rumors suggest that the omission was strategic, calculated, and deeply symbolic. Veterans who had long carried the WNBA reportedly saw it as a chance to assert influence, reminding the league and the fans that hype does not automatically override tenure and proven performance. Social media erupted immediately. Fans claimed the decision was a missed marketing opportunity, arguing that Clark's presence could have drawn global attention and new audiences to women's basketball. Articles, tweets, and TikTok videos debated whether this was a slight against Clark or a tactical move to protect team cohesion. But according to leaked chat transcripts, the story inside the locker room was far more complex. Veterans allegedly felt that bringing a rookie superstar into a team of established players could disrupt chemistry, shift focus, and inadvertently marginalize the contributions of those who had carried the league for years. Sources suggest that some senior players privately communicated with the selection committee, expressing concerns that Clark's media circus might overshadow the Olympic mission. While the public narrative painted it as a tough coaching call, insiders claim that it was also a subtle power play. By keeping Clark off the roster, veterans reportedly sent a message: the league cannot be run solely by hype, sponsorships, or fan obsession. Respect, experience, and earned credibility still matter. Leaked discussions hint at a psychological dimension too. Players allegedly worried about how Clark's inclusion could intensify existing tensions in locker rooms and on social media. Every practice, team meeting, and warm-up session could become a spectacle, and veterans feared their efforts would be reframed as obstacles or antagonists in a narrative centered on a single rising star. Some insiders even claim that veterans viewed the Olympic roster as a soft strike, an opportunity to demonstrate that merit and experience can still counterbalance hype and market-driven decisions. The fan backlash was immediate and intense. Thousands of posts and comment threads framed the decision as unfair, accusing veterans of gatekeeping or jealousy. Meanwhile, Clark's supporters accused the league of undervaluing the most exciting new talent in women's sports. According to leaks, this tension amplified pressure on players both on and off the court, forcing them to navigate a maze of expectations, media scrutiny, and fan outrage. The alleged conversations suggest that veterans felt cornered, trying to defend their position while protecting the integrity of a team and a league that they had built over decades. The ripple effects went beyond locker rooms. Analysts and commentators dissected every angle, debating whether the omission protected team performance or fueled unnecessary controversy. Some insiders claim that this event significantly influenced the rumored strike conversations. If the league could be swayed by marketing hype, what else could it overlook? According to sources, the Olympic roster decision reinforced the perception that players had to take control of their environment, asserting that respect and equitable treatment could not be assumed, they had to be demanded. In short, the Olympic team decision did more than split social media. It exposed the underlying fault lines in the WNBA: rookies versus veterans, hype versus earned respect, marketing influence versus meritocracy. Insiders suggest this moment crystallized the tension, transforming simmering resentment into a visible, urgent issue that the league could no longer ignore. It was a chess move, a declaration of principles, and a warning that the athletes themselves hold power that extends far beyond what happens on the court. The whispers of a WNBA strike have grown louder, and according to insiders, this isn't just idle speculation. It's a labor showdown that could reshape the league. Sources claim that a group of veteran players is seriously considering walking out or boycotting games if certain conditions aren't met. While the mainstream media frames this as rookies versus veterans, the reality appears far more complex. It's about respect, fairness, and control over a league that these athletes built with sweat, sacrifices, and decades of underappreciated labor. The alleged triggers are multiple, but the core issue seems to be the perceived prioritization of Caitlin Clark. Leaked discussions reportedly focus on everything from her charter flights and security perks to the massive endorsement deals she signed before ever playing a professional minute. For veterans who endured grueling travel schedules, cramped hotels, and off-season international contracts just to stay afloat, seeing a rookie enter the league with immediate privileges has reportedly created a sense of betrayal. These players claim that the league's decisions send the message that media hype and marketability matter more than loyalty, experience, and contribution. According to rumors circulating in private group chats, the strike isn't just about perks, it's about control and leverage. Veterans allegedly view the labor action as a way to reclaim influence over their environment. The logic is simple. If the league depends on elite competition to maintain legitimacy, the absence of veteran talent would instantly expose any over-reliance on a single star. Caitlin Clark can shoot, score, and draw crowds, but she needs teammates who can defend, pass, and set screens. Without them, insiders suggest the league's showcase becomes hollow, a solo practice session in front of paying fans. The rumored strike would be a calculated risk to show that the collective power of the players still defines the product, not just media narratives or sponsorship hype. Leaked audio also points to another layer: psychological pressure and online harassment. Fans who flock to Clark's every highlight often descend on opposing players with vitriol, personal attacks, and social media mobs. Reports claim that veterans feel the league has not done enough to protect them from these toxic fan interactions, leaving players vulnerable not just physically but mentally. The strike, insiders say, could be a message that player safety, both mental and physical, must be prioritized over marketing gains. In other words, the league cannot profit off a star without acknowledging the cost imposed on those supporting the star on the court. Financial disparity is another alleged motivator. While Clark reportedly signed multi-million-dollar deals with Nike and other brands, many veterans are still grinding for overseas contracts in the offseason just to make ends meet. Leaked conversations suggest that the optics of this wealth gap fuel resentment, but the strike is framed less as jealousy and more as a demand for equity and recognition. Veterans reportedly see it as a chance to assert that their contributions deserve acknowledgement, compensation, and consideration in league policies. The rumored strike also intersects with cultural dynamics. Sources claim that long-standing players, many of whom are Black women, are pushing back against a league narrative that seems to favor a newcomer while sidelining the voices and influence of those who built the sport. Leaked chatter allegedly describes a sense of betrayal, frustration, and urgency. If the league can pivot for hype, why hasn't it pivoted for decades of dedication? The strike, insiders suggest, is a symbolic stand for respect, legacy, and authority in a league that is suddenly transforming under the glare of social media and commercial attention. The potential fallout is enormous. A strike could pause games, alienate certain fans, and send shockwaves through sponsors and broadcasters. But according to rumors, the veterans are willing to take this risk, believing that long-term integrity and respect outweigh short-term criticism. The strike isn't framed as a rebellion against Clark herself. It's a defensive maneuver against a system they feel is mismanaging priorities, and a way to reclaim their stake in the WNBA's future. In short, the rumored strike is a high-stakes gamble. It combines labor rights, financial equity, fan influence, media narratives, and deep-seated cultural tensions into a single, volatile situation. The players reportedly want to remind the league and the world that the WNBA isn't just about one breakout star. It's about the talent, dedication, and influence of those who have kept the sport alive for decades. According to insiders, if the strike happens, it will not just make headlines. It will reshape how women's basketball operates, who holds power, and how respect is distributed on and off the court. The story isn't over. In fact, it may only be entering its most dramatic quarter. The saga surrounding Caitlin Clark, the veteran players, and the rumored strike is more than just locker room drama. It's a battle for the very soul of the WNBA. This isn't about individual egos or petty rivalries. According to insiders, it's a fight over who controls the narrative, who receives respect, and how power is distributed in a league that is finally starting to generate serious attention and revenue. For decades, women's basketball thrived quietly. Athletes worked tirelessly, often without recognition, endorsements, or even adequate facilities. They laid the foundation, created fan bases, and bore the brunt of financial inequities. And now suddenly, a 22-year-old rookie with enormous media attention and sponsorship deals has arrived, shining a spotlight that some veterans feel is ill-deserved and dangerously skewed. Leaked conversations suggest that the tension is about more than fame. It's about fairness, equity, and the acknowledgement of those who have carried the league for years. Veterans reportedly see the current situation as a test of principles, not just skill. If the league rewards hype and marketability over experience, what precedent does that set for the next generation? What message does it send to young athletes who dream of joining the WNBA but see the struggles and sacrifices of their predecessors sidelined in favor of a single star? These questions, insiders say, are central to the strike discussions, and they reveal just how high the stakes have become. The rumored labor action is also a reflection of deeper cultural and racial dynamics. The WNBA has historically been a league dominated by Black women who have fought tirelessly both on and off the court. They've used their platforms to advance social justice, support marginalized communities, and demand accountability in ways the wider sports world often ignored. Leaked audio reportedly shows frustration over a perceived shift in the league's focus, catering to a demographic and a narrative that some veterans see as incompatible with the WNBA's identity and culture. For them, this isn't personal, it's a matter of legacy. The strike, insiders claim, is a way to assert that the league cannot be reduced to clicks, hype, or single-player marketing campaigns. It must honor the history, effort, and dignity of those who built it. Financial pressures play a major role as well. While Clark's massive endorsement deals make headlines, many veterans still rely on overseas contracts to make ends meet. They argue that the optics of this disparity highlight a systemic problem. The league's most visible talent isn't always the one carrying the weight of the game. According to leaks, players see the rumored strike as a mechanism to force the league to address inequities, ensure fair treatment, and recognize the contributions that actually sustain the sport. It's a reminder that while one player can sell tickets and draw attention, the league's legitimacy depends on the collective talent and commitment of all its athletes. The strike rumors also expose the delicate balance between media attention and league integrity. The WNBA thrives on competition, skill, and storytelling. But if games are interrupted, boycotted, or overshadowed by internal conflict, the narrative becomes chaotic. Yet insiders argue that the veterans are willing to risk short-term chaos to reclaim control over their environment, and in doing so, remind the league that respect cannot be manufactured through hype alone. In many ways, this saga is a microcosm of broader debates in professional sports. Money versus merit, fame versus experience, fan influence versus athlete well-being. It's a high-stakes chess game where every decision, every policy, and every endorsement deal sends ripples through locker rooms, boardrooms, and broadcast networks. The alleged strike, according to sources, isn't just about protesting Clark. It's about reasserting the value of the players who make the WNBA possible. As the season unfolds, insiders suggest the real drama will not be on the scoreboard but on the sidelines, in post-game interviews, and in the decisions the league makes in response. Whether the rumored strike happens or not, the message is clear. The WNBA is no longer a passive enterprise. Its future is being fought for, one decision, one player, and one principle at a time. And according to the leaks, the veterans are standing firm, ready to ensure that the game they love doesn't get hijacked by hype or overlooked for profit. In the end, the Caitlin Clark saga is bigger than any one player. It's a test of culture, fairness, and power. A story about who deserves to be heard, who deserves respect, and what kind of league the WNBA will ultimately become. If these players take a stand, the consequences will echo far beyond the court, reshaping the economics, narratives, and very identity of women's basketball for years to come. The real battle for the WNBA's future has begun, and the world is watching.